Hello?
Hey, good morning. Mr. Cedric Ballard, please.
This is he.
Hey, man, good morning to you, man. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Man, please, if you have to ask me, I must be. Come on, man. You know better than that, man. God bless you, man. Good morning to you, man. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day, man. Accepting my phone call. I tell you what, man, there's so many people being blessed by what you're doing, your ministry, and what you've been through. They love your testimony. Why don't you do me this favor this morning, man, with no further ado? Why don't we have you go ahead and simply introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us where you're from. Maybe give us a little history about the ministry that God has placed you responsible over. Can you do that for me?
Sure can. My name is Cedric Ballard. Born and raised in Houston, Texas. I'm a down south guy. Thank God I'm just somebody who God chose, not because of anything that I did, anything perfectly I've done, but just because of his grace that he chose to basically use in some way to speak to some hurt people, to some people who have been broken, to some people who have been wounded. And I'm just grateful because even though this journey started over 20 years ago, every time I say it, it's almost amazing that it's been over 20 years that I've been doing this. It still feels like God is continuing to renew my strength, continuing to renew my joy, my passion for what I do. And so I'm just thankful for doing gospel music for over 20 years, being able to work with so many of the phenomenal artists in this industry, meeting great people like you, in the radio and just the whole media market. I'm just excited because it seems to me that God always has people who are able to basically use their platform to spotlight and even more so highlight what God is doing in the kingdom and around the world. And so you are just somebody that I'm basically excited for and appreciative of, because you didn't have to share your platform or stage with anybody. You could have done it for whatever your personal endeavors are, but thank God he's using you to shed a light on others as it relates to what they're doing for the kingdom. So I'm excited, and this is just me. I learned how to appreciate others when I know for a fact they don't have to do what they're doing.
Yeah. And, man, you said something so very important this morning already, man. You said it's amazing how, I guess you say, you can see this thing as being over 20 years and you're still excited about it today.
Yes, I am.
I have the analogy, man, that every day I wake up to do what God has really blessed me to do, I feel like, out of all honesty, I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
Now, you know how you felt when you just got started? You were, filled with excitement, man. Nobody could tell you nothing. I feel like that every time I wake up in the morning, man. I wake up and I look at my situation and what God is doing, what God has done, and what God is going to do. I simply look at my situation and say, man, you know what? I'm really just getting started. So don't take what God has for you for granted. Boy, I tell you, man, I'm excited for you, man. I also know that you got a brand new single out. Now, you've been doing this for over 20 years, but you got a brand new single out. And I want you to tell our viewers and listeners, man, a little bit about that.
The name of the new single is called Worship Now to Live. This song was really birthed out of a worship experience that I had. Those personal, private worship experiences that you have when it's just you and God and you're communing with him and you're communicating with him, and he then communicates back to you in a way that you have never experienced before. And that's when you realize I'm at a point where I don't live to worship. I worship to live. And so it's a situation where your perspectives change when you have an encounter with God. And that's why I always encourage people to have those private worship moments and opportunities with God, because perspectives change, mindsets change when you have those moments. And in that song, I talk about just my my appreciation, my desperation for worshiping God, because it's in those moments that it gives me strength to continue to move forward and to live. Because if truth be told, we deal with some crazy stuff every day. There's a lot going on in this world.
Man. Yeah.
There's a lot going on in your home, in your mind.
Yeah.
So before we can even get on what's going on in this world, as government and society, what's the battle in your mind? You need you need God to help you with that alone.
God. Man, you need to stay out my message this morning, man. Because I tell you what, man, when all else fails, that's exactly, I always question certain things, man, and that's all I can do. One of the things I always say, man, Cedric, is we have become a acceptable society.
Yes, sir.
We accept too much. We don't push the button. We don't try to put it. It seems normal when divorce.
Right.
When divorce, drug use, and killing is at an all-time high.
Right.
And honoring your marriage in holy matrimony is at an all-time low. There's a problem. Oh my goodness, see, you getting me started.
We're numb to it.
Yeah.
And we're numb to it. We're numb. We're almost anesthetized to it, because that's just the status quo nowadays in this society. And so what's happening, though, is it's one thing for the world to feel that way, but it's another thing when the kingdom gets so common with it, to the point to where we're not even moved by it anymore to speak on it.
Right.
So that's what I mean by perspectives and mindsets change when you have encounters with God, because that which wouldn't move you, in most cases, when you have an encounter with Him, He'll give you that energy, that drive, that mindset to do something about it in your own lane, in your own way.
Right.
And so that's what worship does for me. And it doesn't only just lift burdens. It doesn't only just help me as it relates to my direction in life, but it also changes mindsets in how I go about approaching things.
Right.
So that the worship is very essential in a Christian's life.
That's right. Oh my goodness, I couldn't have said it best myself, man. And I'm so grateful again. Cedric Ballard on the phone with us this morning, having a conversation, man. And I tell you what, how long has this new single been out? I just want to be able to share this information with our viewers and listeners, man, before I bless the people with it. But I want you to tell us a little bit more about how long has it been out, and where is it going to be available, or where is it available?
It came out on October 5th, and it was released digitally, so it's on all digital media outlets. So we're talking about Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google Play, Tidal, Spotify. I mean, all those digital mainstream outlets, it's on there. And so I chose to release it digitally because, of course, nowadays, if you're like me, you're noticing these vehicles are not even being made with CD players anymore.
Right.
So everything is going toward being put on your phone or on your computer or on your iPad. So my first release was digital, and it was released on October 5th of this year. So it's still fresh, it's still new, and I believe it's going to bless people, and I think it's going to really speak to the heart of worshipers that are out there that really listen to it and lyrically hear the substance of the song.
Well, I am one to know that everything that we do has a root foundation.
Correct.
Okay, everything we're going through, there's a root behind it. This song has to have a root behind it. I know that you may have experienced something, you may have witnessed something, you may have gone in a certain direction that allowed this particular single to come about. Why don't you tell us and tell our viewers and listeners, man, how was this song created? How did it come about? Did you go through a challenge? Was there anything behind it? Give us a little history on that.
Well, the song is called, like I said, Worship Now to Live. And so what you start realizing as you progress and develop and mature in life is there are a lot of things that you thought you needed. There are a lot of things that you thought you could depend on and count on. There are a lot of things that you put a lot of hope and trust in. A lot of people that you thought would come to your rescue when you thought, when they saw you needed it most, you thought they would be the ones that would rescue you. And you come to this real honest discovery that if God don't do it,
that's right.
It just won't get done.
That's right.
And you go through your moments of disappointment. You go through those moments of really being down and almost depressed to a certain extent.
Right.
But until you get into those moments of worship where God really reveals himself to you, who he really is to you, that's when you start realizing, you know what? It's in my worship moment. It's in my time of worship where I can really see who I am in God, but more importantly, who God is in me.
Right.
And so the song Worship Now to Live really talks on that because of the things that I have went through over the years, recently as well as in the past, to really get me to a point to understand that, hey, God is my source, and I live because of him.
That's right.
And so in my worship, I get to even know why I'm living, because he gives me all that type of information in those moments. And so I worship to live.
Amen.
And live means I live and walk out my passion, my purpose, and my perspective in life. All that is connected to the way I worship.
That's right. Wow.
And so I think if people approach worship in that way, it won't just be one of those deals where they kind of do it in a haphazardly, very passive way.
Right.
Because worship is about passion, about really being passionate with God and being one with him. And so, you know, in my life experience, man, I'm telling you now, it is, and I'm sure it's not me alone. There's others that have come to those type of conclusions. And it's until you come to that conclusion, which we can see that in the Bible, when people come to the conclusion that God is your source, only then will you start really living your purpose.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Wow. Man, I tell you what, man, you get me fired up over here, man. I'm loving this, man. This is an awesome, awesome conversation. You know, I have a couple of things, man. You know, I have a couple of things I want to just kind of shoot your way, man, because I have been doing ministry for a little while, and sometimes I get in, I guess you can say, certain cocoon-like mindsets where I kind of shut everything out because of something that I may be going through, something that I may be thinking about, something that I may witness. I want to hear your thoughts, man, briefly on what you think about cursing in the pulpit.
I believe, once again, we're dealing with a situation that we've become somewhat anesthetized. We are so, as a kingdom nowadays in this 21st century, we are so conscious of being relatable with the world.
Yeah.
And the Bible continues to let us know that even though we're in this world, we're not of this world.
That's right.
But we're so conscious of being relatable to the world and reaching the world and reaching them in a way where they can relate to us, and maybe we can reach and we can reach them to a point to where they'll come and be a part of the kingdom. And my question is, why would I want to be a part of a kingdom that seems to be coming to me and doing some of the same things I'm doing? I'm already doing that in the world. I'm cussing already in the world.
Right.
So why would I want to come into church and hear you do the very same things that I'm doing out here in the world? Why would I make that conversion in essence? And so it bothers me.
Yeah, it does.
That you have not just people. We're talking about ministers, pastors, prophets, evangelists that are up there, not just condoning it, but actually saying it.
Yeah.
And they're saying it openly and very proudly and happily. And they put biblical, theological.
Yeah. Try to put a biblical twist. Yeah. My goodness.
So now what you're saying is, which, you know, the world has already they're looking at us sideways for so many years because we've had a way of scripturally wrapping something that was so inadequate and so inaccurate, but we made it sound so good. So, but the world can see right through it. And they know the difference between real and fake. And so the reality is that when you hear these pastors or preachers up in the pulpit cussing and saying those type of derogatory, very, 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 very bad. I mean, I'm talking, it ain't even using some of the words that's in the Bible. We're talking about real cuss words that you hear in the street.
Right.
When you, as a person, you know, who's been to some level of theological seminary, I'm saying there's enough information in the Bible to where you don't have to use a cuss word.
That's right.
There's enough commentary. There is enough references in the Bible to where you can stay away from those type of languages and still reach people.
That's right.
And you can reach the lost.
That's right.
Why are we using the words of the wicked in order to gain the wicked?
It doesn't add up.
I don't know.
It just doesn't add up.
It
Now, you know what? I can go on forever with that one, Cedric. I'll tell you, man. You know, I know I was going to open a can of worms when I mentioned it, but I just had to mention it, man, because I like to get the feedback of some of my leaders, some of my ministries, and some of those who have a perspective about some of the stuff that we recognize as simply flat out wrong. All right, another thing I want you to just make a quick comment about. We started a program on our broadcast network recently titled Suffering in Silence, the journey of surviving pulpit depression. We got so much suicide out there. We got pastors that are simply committing suicide. They don't want to live anymore. They're done. I don't know what drives them to that conclusion. The same people that's up there speaking, preaching, and teaching the word of God has grown to a level or have gotten to a point in their life to where they just don't want to live anymore. Give me something on that, man. What's your feedback? What's your take?
You know, it's become more simple now that I've had to deal with that personally, where a lot of the people, even in my city, pastors and preachers and, worship leaders and those that give of themselves weekly, daily. They prepare sermons and songs for other people, but the songs and the sermons never really address what they're going through, or they never allow it to address what they're going through. So in essence, what I'm doing is we've all done this. You know, when we prepare for what we feel God is saying to the house or to the congregation. Yeah. But it's never a situation where we allow that sermon, that song, that scripture to really minister to what we are going through personally in that moment. Right. And if you never address you, then in essence what you're doing is you're steady denying what you're going through, all while you're feeding others as it relates to what they're going through. And so, I'm born and raised. I'm a Pentecostal, boy. I was born and raised in the Church of God in Christ, and it was always a taboo thing when it seemed someone had an issue mentally, and mental health now, thank God, is really being highlighted. Yeah. But back then, it was a demon. Right. In most Pentecostal churches, it was a demon. Because they didn't feel like you can have the Holy Ghost and have a psychiatrist. Right. They didn't feel like you can have the gift of the Holy Ghost and still go and talk to somebody and say, "Hey, man, I'm feeling some type of way as it relates to what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through." Right. And so, because of that, we didn't mentally treat or emotionally treat ourselves as we should have. We can go to the gym and physically get ourselves fit, but mentally. And emotionally, we needed that same type of exercise, and we just did not feel it was spiritual to do that. We felt that was of the devil. Right. You should take that to the altar, bring it to the altar and leave it there. Right. If it was that easy, then there'd be a lot of folk that would have done that and would still be with us right now and would not have blown their brains out or took some pills or drunk themselves to death or just all those things that happen, and it's a situation where we really got to understand, and more people are saying it now. It's okay to sit down and really address what you're feeling mentally and emotionally. And these preachers, because we're supposed to be these super spiritual people who are speaking these things, and we don't want to seem to others like we are going through some of the same things they're going through, because we're so above those things. We can say, well, you know what, I deal with it myself. And the reality is sometimes it needs to be addressed with some others that are actually licensed and actually have a degree to talk to you about it. And it's okay. It's okay. And it got to be enough people saying that. Right. And I hope that we continue to address it like you're doing right now, lifting up that particular issue. Yeah. It needs to be addressed. Right. It's okay, Pastor, that you may have to go and talk to somebody when you're dealing with, 100 of us in the congregation. That's right.
That's right. That's
Or
right.
you're dealing with your own personal life, because people don't know what pastors and preachers and singers have to go through before they even get in front of you to sing and minister or preach and minister.
That's right.
You just don't know. So I'm telling you, man, it's becoming more of an epidemic now, but it's been like that for a long time. If you be honest, it's been like that for a long time.
That's
and
right.
We are just now saying that it's okay for you to basically, have an issue and be able to talk to somebody about it. You better, because what we don't want to see you do is take your life.
Right.
Because your life is valuable to us.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's something that has become so acceptable, But a lot of times what we do in today's society is we either try to push it aside or ignore it until it comes knocking at our front door in our own backyard, in our church. Then it hits home like never before. And now you want to go all out to expose what it is that we can do to try to come to a conclusion to stop this from happening. How can we resolve this situation and stop allowing, so a lot of times we just ignore it until it hits home. Unfortunately, man, we got to keep exposing it. We got to keep talking about it. Everybody is going through something. Everybody.
You're right.
Everybody.
You are right.
And the message that I
everybody.
preach, man, I tell you, the message that I preach is always don't get stuck in through. We just can't do it. We got to let some of this stuff go, man. I don't care what you're going through. You know what? Stop allowing people to dictate your destiny. I feel this way about you. I feel that way about. So what? You're not. So what? God didn't. What? You didn't call me. God did. And well, how can God call you if you? I say, let me tell you something. You got all the respect in the world, for God's disciples. You know what? You'll be the first one shouting glory, hallelujah for every disciple in the Word of God. But every last one of them had issues.
Exactly. and every last one of them dealt with some level of depression or some level of emotional roller coaster. Every one of them.
Every last one of God's disciples had issues. God does not call those whom are qualified. He qualifies those whom he calls. There's a reason we go, oh my God. You're getting me started, man. Stop it. You're getting me. You know what? Let me get back on this worship now to live. Worship now to live, man.
Yes,
of course, man, we are blessed by it. I want to do this, man, if you really, 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 really don't mind. I want to break down. I want to play the single for our viewers and listeners, man. Then I want to come back, man, and I want you to share your social media outlets with our viewers and listeners this morning so they can know how to reach you when they want to reach out to you, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, continuous music on the way. Yours truly, Pastor Kevin, along with my friend. All right, Cedric Ballard. He's at brand new single out, Worship Now to Live, and it's being aired right here, right now on the GMAP Broadcast Network, GMAP1.com. He is now officially on that roster. He is one of our featured artists. He has the spotlight shining on him because he's ministering to God's people around the world. I love it. He loves it. God loves it. We're trying to reach out to you so you can love it right here on the GMAP Broadcast Network. We'll be back. Stay close there. Don't move, okay?
Yes, sir.
In your presence, my sins I confess. I'm overwhelmed, even ashamed. The only power I feel is when I call your name. You are the only one I know to breathe some life into this wounded soul. I no longer live just to worship you. My strength renewed. worship to live with my hands upraised. My life you saved, oh Lord. Worship now, live. Oh my. Empty dim, fill me, Father, with your power to live that feeds my life, will to sustain from the power I feel when I cry out your name. You are the only one I know. Wounded soul. You see, I no longer live to worship you, my strength renewed. I now worship to live with my hands upraised, my life you saved, oh Lord. Everything within me, everything within me, I worship you. Ooh, everything within me, everything within me, I worship you. Oh my, everything within, all that's within, Lord. That I worship you with my broken parts and all of me, with all that's within me, Lord. Hey, oh Lord, with my hands and my feet, with my voice, I give it all. I worship you. Oh Lord. I give it all, God. I give it all. Nobody is holy. Nobody is worthy. You are worthy. Yeah. I am of myself, God. You are holy, mighty. Nobody nowhere like you, Lord. I worship to live. I live to worship. Can I get a witness out there? Thank you, Lord. I worship you. Everything within me, everything within me, I worship you.
I am in here worshiping
Ooh, Lord.
our Heavenly Father. I tell you what, I'm fired up this morning.
Everything within
Man, this is off the chain, as they say. The young folks say it that way. Praise the Lord. Cedric, Ballard, worship now to live. Right here on the GMAP Broadcast Network, GMAP1.com. Man, I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited for the people because they get an opportunity to hear what it is to worship. They get to feel it. Man, that is awesome, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you so much, man. for just sharing this particular music ministry with me, man, and those encouraging words as well, man. Again, you know, people need to hear more often many of the things that we talked about on today. Now, for that reason, man, if people wanted to reach out to you, man, they want to touch base with you, whether it be on an individual level, whether it be personal, whatever the case may be, how can they reach you? Email, phone number, website, social media? How can you be reached, man, right here, right now, as you share this information on the network?
Okay. You can always reach me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Cedric Ballard. And that's CEDRICBALLARD, Cedric Ballard. So you can always reach me at those handles.
Amen.
But then also, you can reach me on the website, www.cedricballard.com. You can go there.
Amen.
And then also, you can reach me by phone, which is 832-315-5354, or email at cballard.ministries@gmail.com. So there are several ways you can reach me, several ways that you can connect with me. And, man, when I tell you, I am always honored and always appreciative when those, with anyone, to when they reach out and basically communicate or connect, just to say how they've been blessed, or if they would like to fellowship, worship, and connect, and have me come out to the, to their city or anything like that.
Yeah.
So those type of things, man, I'm telling you now, God has just really overwhelmed me with those type of opportunities, even since the single. And I'm just grateful because, like I said, it's only because of the grace of God, not because of anything, any talent, any gifts I have.
Right,
but
right,
He knows how
right.
to utilize everything that He puts in me.
That's right.
And I'm thankful for the opportunity to use what He's given me. So those are the ways you can reach out to me.
Hey, man, once again, Cedric Ballard on the line here on the GMAP Broadcast Network in the morning show. Worship Now to Live, of course, available right here, right now on all digital outlets, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all that good stuff. And, of course, always, they seem like to always forget to mention the fact that he's also placed in our roster spotlight area on our broadcast network.
Oh, yeah.
He is also one of those featured. You know, I don't know why they always forget about little old me, little old us, but you know,
no. Look, let me tell you something right now. I'm still thanking God for the connection that He has given between you and I. I'm telling you, it was out the blue.
Yes.
And when I tell you God knows how to do that type of blessing, matter of fact, I want to declare that on all your listeners right now.
Yeah.
I just declared that that's the type of blessings you're going to be receiving for the remainder of 2018. Those blessings that come out of nowhere, that come when you least expect it. That's the type of blessings I believe that God is going to do for you if you receive it.
Amen.
For the next 2 months in 2018.
Yeah.
And I just believe it's already done, just like that. For every listener that will receive that.
Amen. I received that this morning, man. I appreciate you, bro. I tell you, man, because that's how God works. God's ways are not our ways. You know, God's thoughts are not our thoughts. And you have to really anticipate living your life. You know what I always say, you know, I cannot continue to live my life level by level by level. I have to live my life 144 levels at a time. You know, God has a way of operating dimensional. You know, He'll allow us to make things and receive things based on dimensional. And I'm grateful for what you're doing, man. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to take this thing to the next dimension, man. So we are grateful to you, man, because it's because of people like yourself to recognize the abilities that God has given you, but yet those that He provides, and we take the opportunity to utilize them according to His will and His purpose. Man, that means everything in the world to me. You know, people don't even have to ask me, like I told you before, people don't have to ask me who am I or what I do or why I do it. I'm not trying to really satisfy or get their approval. You know, I'm trying to do it for God. God's the only one that can change things. He's the only one that can change a person. He's the only one that can make a way out of no way. He's the only one that can raise someone from the dead. He's the only one that can make a blind man see. So I need to please Him. And
Yes, you
oh
will.
my God,
Yes,
woo, my
exactly.
goodness, you get me fired up again, man.
Yes.
Stop it. You let me slow my roll, man.
Hey,
Woo.
look, that's a good word right there, man.
Yes, sir.
People need to hear that.
Yes, sir. They do. They do, man. And again, man, I just can't thank you enough. Cedric Ballard, Worship Now to Live, available on all digital outlets. Stop by the GMAP Broadcast Network site, gmap1.com. We're also being heard on a variety of networks. We thank God for being seen and or heard on streaming church TV, Pure Faith Outreach Ministries, Radio Loyalty. We're also broadcasting live on our Facebook feed. We cannot forget about our new broadcast network family over at Genico Faith TV, and they provide us on every other platform that we had never even thought of. You know, Fire Stick TV, Roku, all Google Play. They're just providing us opportunity, and that, again, ladies and gentlemen, is simply how God works. Don't wait. Don't wait to change. Don't wait to get yourself all together, because you will go to hell waiting.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm just keeping it real. You will go there waiting because you decided you didn't want to embark in what God has in store for you because you just don't feel like you're ready. Don't wait to change. Go to church and let God change you. That's the, my God, that's the only way it's going to happen. And listen, I'm not cursing in the pulpit, so make sure you all understand. You know how you got some out there, Cedric, man. They said, did he just say that? You know,
Exactly.
Did he just say? And he was just talking about. You know how people are, man. So, oh my goodness, that's good stuff.
Know.
Yeah, man. But you know what? I'm very skeptical, man. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate what you're doing, man. And you know what? Stay connected, man. The things that you got coming up, you know, the events that you're going to be ministering at, you know, or whether or not you're going to be delivering a word, you know, if God gave it to you, it is not just meant for you.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm getting ready to share a word that you shared with me. And I just want to say, if God gave it to you, give it to his people. That is the reason he gave it to you. You know, and I'm one of those individuals when I preach, man, I always am one to try my best to put myself out in the congregation sitting in the front row, because the word that God gives me is not just for them. It's also for me. Woo.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man. God bless you, man. I want you to have an outstanding day, man. You be blessed, and you continue to be a blessing to God's people. Look forward to talking to you again soon, man, okay?
Thank you so much, and I appreciate this opportunity. I'm excited about being a part of the GMAP community.
Hey, man, God bless you, bro. Appreciate you, man. I'll be in touch, man. You have an outstanding day, man, okay?
You do the same.
All right, take care.
Yes, sir.
That's my friend, Cedric Ballard, right here on the GMAP Broadcast Network with the brand new single, Worship Now to Live. Listen, Cedric also gave me an encouraging word that I would like to share with you all before I move on today. So before we get back into more continuous music right here on the GMAP Broadcast Network, I just want you to hear I guess you can say it's like a final conclusion, a final word, a final message from my friend Cedric Ballard right here on the GMAP Broadcast Network. And again, this is The Morning Show.
It's been over 20 years. It's been a lot of ups and downs personally, in my own individual life, as well as in ministry. There's a lot of things that have occurred in my life, but one thing I can say, God has been the consistent source that has kept me through it all. Over 20 years ago, you could have never told me that I'd be doing gospel music for that long. I thought I was going to be a drummer. When I was 12 and 13, I was playing drums, just a little Pentecostal boy, playing drums for the choir. One day, I was kind of singing some music with my god brother, and next thing I know, his mom, my godmother, Myra Banks. Oh my God, Myra Banks. She heard me, and when I tell you, she was one of the ones that would not let me stay on that drum set. She made me, every chance she got, get the microphone and lead a song or sing a song or get in that tenor section. And I'm staring at the drums like she was my ex-girlfriend or something, like, you know, trying to reach out to the drumsticks. And she was like, no, you're finna get this mic and sing. And so I owe a lot to her. And then there was another young lady named Betty Nelson that I would go second Sunday night musicals to her church. And it seemed like, I don't care how far back in the church I sat or who I sat behind trying to hide, she was always gonna say, okay, Cedric, you here? Come on, do a solo. And I'm saying to myself, why in the world do she not do that to other folk? And she probably did, but I always felt like she just was picking on me. I felt that way. It was a training ground back in those days. It was not one of those moments where they just kind of said, okay, well, at least he up singing. No, it was, you gonna do it right. They made me sing. My mama didn't even know that I could sing until they made me sing in front of her. You know, I could go on with names and names and names of people here in the city of Houston, around the country, that just invested a lot in me. But what I can say is 20 years later, God has blessed a young boy to become a man in this gospel industry. Thank God for a praying mother who has always prayed. Even when I was out there doing some of the craziest stuff in the world, she was praying that God don't kill him. God don't let him get lost or so lost that he can't feel you or won't be convicted by what he's doing. Thank God for a beautiful, beautiful family, a beautiful wife. I know for a fact that if it was not for God putting me with someone who could really understand flaws and understand mistakes and mess-ups and mix-ups and all those things, I would not be able to get up and really sing and really minister with the power and authority that I do. I want to say to you that whatever it is you're going through in your life, whatever you're dealing with in your life, just know that if you stay faithful to God's work and to the passion and purpose that God put on your life, He knows how to fix everything and turn everything around. I just want to share that with you. I want to let you know God has blessed you to live in the best season of your life. If you believe that, I promise you, your best days are yet to come.
Everything within